joining the show today. I'm your host, Renee Donaldson, CEO of EcoDirect, and you're with Solar and Storage Today. Right now, we have a very special guest, our own application engineer, Maxwell Muscarella. Max, welcome to the show today.
So happy to be here, Renee.
Me too. We've been having a great time this week. It's our grand opening. We've had a full house with all of our employees working in our new building, and it's phenomenal. So
yeah, really great energy. It's so nice to be around everyone, and lots to celebrate this year. So
there is a lot to celebrate, and we've got our Christmas party coming up this Friday as well. And with that in mind, we've been picking up a lot of speed. Many of our customers have been calling and asking about adding storage to their existing PV systems. So I thought today would be a great opportunity to take advantage of you being here with us and telling our listeners how they can go about adding storage to existing systems.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I'm happy to jump right on that. I get a lot of customers calling and asking about that. A lot of early adopters, who may have had a solar system for anywhere from 5 to 15 years. Mm-hmm. And, it's done them well. And now with the rate structures that are changing and just with more power safety shutoffs in California and just with more prevalence of outages due to natural disasters, a lot of people are like, how can I incorporate backup? How can I incorporate storage either to back up my critical loads and or take advantage of these new utility rate structures so that I can still have some economic benefit from my past investment in supporting renewable energy generation. So it comes up a lot, and it's really a question of what system you're working with to begin with. Mm-hmm. Whether you have a system that is 5 years old or less, or if you are dealing with a system that's 15 years old. And something that I would really take into consideration is if you are dealing with an older system, potentially considering DC coupling just because of the benefits that DC coupling has to offer as far as you don't have to have two separate inverters, you can have one inverter. And if the inverter is past its warranty, it's something worth considering. However, if you have a new inverter, relatively new within the past 10 years that's doing good for you, there's really plenty of benefits to continuing with the AC coupled system. And there's a couple different avenues in which you could go there. One of which is getting a strictly just a battery inverter. Mm-hmm. And we have a couple different manufacturers that do this. We have products with Outback, we have products with Schneider that are really great for integrating your battery system and allowing for your existing solar to kind of chime in, and in the event of a prolonged outage, you can have the benefit of your solar generation feeding your battery so that you can extend the time in which you can utilize that energy storage. And so
I agree. And not to, cut you off there too, but I think it's worth noting that for older systems, replacing the inverter is going to be more cost effective.
It is.
Because you're going to design an entire battery-based system that's new with an older design that chances are the inverter will go out at some point sooner rather than later if it's past its prime. And you can save a lot of money just by taking that inverter out, maybe putting it on a third-party website like a Craigslist, eBay, recycling it. If it's still working, somebody else
Absolutely.
Can use it. And you can take the funds that you've gained from just replacing the inverter and selling it and put that into the new system.
Yeah.
And so I liked your point on DC coupling for older systems.
Like you said, it's just the cost and the simplicity of the system is there. It's you take up less wall space, there's less upfront capital in the upgrade, and the efficiency of a DC to DC power conversion just exceeds that of going from AC back to DC to charge your batteries. So,
I think the only exception for that would be, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, would be if you have some older microinverters. Enphase, like the old M2 215s, that's probably 7 years ago. But even before that, if you're using like the M190s.
microinverters are like an in-between, right? Because getting anyone to go back onto your roof and rewire your panels, it's inherently going to cost a lot. You're dealing with man hours, you know.
Right.
So, the microinverters, it's like you're already going to be getting up on the roof, in order to replace those microinverters, and I think the question is, whether those microinverters are really the best choice for your application in the first place. And so, if you are dealing with shading and you need to replace your microinverters, then you're going to need to have an AC coupled system because you're inverting the DC right at the panel. There's no getting around it.
But you can do that still, even if it is an older microinverter system. You should be able to still add storage with, a Schneider would be a good product. And I don't know offhand if if the codes might say something different. Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, and also the Enphase system controller too is, if you have M series microinverters, you still can incorporate that with the Enphase system if you wanted to keep it all within that manufacturer. It's also, as long as you have an AC signal, like that's kind of the nice thing about about these agnostic systems like the Schneider or the Mojave.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess the Mojave doesn't work with the control system for Enphase, so that would be an exception there. But
yeah, the benefit of EcoDirect too is that we love special use case scenarios, and certainly keeps it exciting. But storage is certainly at the forefront. But for legacy systems, microinverters we'll have to take a look at. It'll depend on which one you're using, but if it's an older SMA or Fronius, any of the Blue Planet, Keiko.
Really getting back there.
They are, but those are the ones that we see that you're most likely it's going to be the easiest path forward to replace the inverter. And there's so many more options. The panels will continue to operate and work, so you would actually be able to just do it as an inverter replacement and then get permitted for the battery storage system.
Right, and I do think I'm kind of going back to, like, even with some older systems, it doesn't make sense to get people on your roof in order to rewire your PV strings. There's certain older inverters had different maximum power point voltage levels that they were working with, and the other question is, like, if you're using optimizers, like, well, there's not a lot of DC coupled battery inverters that want to have an optimized input coming in, and so there's plenty of scenarios where even if you are replacing an inverter, like, the cost of labor makes it so that an AC coupled system is the more practical solution and the more economical solution. And it's really just a matter of, like, what's your application, what's the system that you already have installed, and how do we optimize that, like the economics of the operation itself and the installation, because that's with these projects, installation cost is always going to be a huge factor, and we need to keep that in consideration for our customers.
100%. And there's the good thing is most of our customers will actually go to our website, so ecodirect.com, and fill out an inquiry form, which you can find right on our website. It's on the front left corner, and that's really easy to do. And someone from our sales team will reach out pretty quickly too, and make sure we have everything that you need to figure out the right system. But that's really the main meat of it too, though.
Right.
What's your existing system? Are you using it for time of use or for everyday use, or is it for a backup system only? And then how much storage do you need? So what loads are you backing up? And for how long do you want that system to continue to operate in the event that the utility does not come back on? Right. And there's so many options out there right now. You can really fine tune based on budget, performance.
Right.
If you want to be able to monitor the system on your phone at any time of the day, you can do that.
Right.
And if you're someone like a lot of our customers, they just want it to operate and don't really care to take a look at it all the time. They just want to know that it's working, it's saving them money, it's doing exactly what it should, and it looks nice on the wall. Aesthetics are important for some of our customers. And,
Absolutely.
Luckily, our manufacturers know that, and I don't think that there's too many out there that are unpleasant to look at.
No, it's like everything's a personal preference, but I do feel like EcoDirect has done a really good job of sourcing high quality products that, they take aesthetics into consideration and ultimately are like pretty darn versatile for lots of different applications. And our team here has talked to a lot of different customers, a lot of different applications, and so I think it really gives us some advantage to kind of tailor, like, what's your application? Like, here's some trade-offs with the different products that we have to offer. Like, they're all quality products. Like, here's what they're optimized for, and then it gives our customers the opportunity to make an educated, informed decision on, how they want to allocate their resources towards their economic and just security, the economics of their system and the security of their electricity also.
Yes, it does. I think that we've always had a focus on education. And so with education at the forefront, we're training internally, often at least I wouldn't say it's necessarily every day. Every day is an opportunity to learn, of course. But on a weekly, monthly basis, internally making sure that we're aware of all the new developments that are coming to market, and really helping our customers better understand what their options are. So if you do ever have questions, you can call us or email us, and chances are we'll be able to point you in the right direction. With AC coupling, I like a lot, really just for the ease, like you said, of installation. And then for DC coupling, just to touch on that, if you are replacing your inverter, there's a very high likelihood that your PV array, if it is on the roof or on the ground, would easily transfer over to a hybrid inverter. And it's likely that for a lot of these scenarios, you probably would have to do little to no rewiring. Potentially some rewiring if you're doing parallel connections, like for Solarc or Simplify ESS system.
Or even a Schneider for that matter too. They also do DC coupling.
That's a good point. Yes, we don't want to forget Schneider, and of course, doing that type of install, you can either do it. All of our customers will do it themselves if they have electrical or contract background. But working with someone that is a skilled electrician is always recommended.
Absolutely.
So electricity can be done very safely, but you do want to exercise caution and safety protocols and really be confident that you know what you're doing.
Absolutely. And even for a lot of really, I've dealt with some really well-educated customers, and I would say the large majority of them, even when they are doing the install themselves, they'll save the last 5 to 10% and call in a licensed electrician just to, keep safety at the forefront for themselves and everyone who's on the job. But what you just were saying brought up something for me. A lot of times with these older systems, and I've recommended it and I've seen different customers do it, is like, after a decade or so, their usage has shifted, and a lot of times that usage has gone up. They've either added a new barn and or a warehouse or an electric vehicle, something, and then sometimes just the degradation of the panels over the past 10 years is hey, our electricity has gradually gone up for whatever reason it may has, and our production has gone down, and there's a lot of opportunity with some of these hybrid systems, like the Solarc, like the Schneider, where you can AC couple and DC couple. So you can keep that. You can have the ease of AC coupling your existing system. Just kind of plug and play. Take that existing inverter, AC couple it into the AC couple input, and you can install brand new solar strings into your DC coupled inputs, and it's a way to, again, minimize the extra costs. And a lot of times you can even, it's hey, our old panels are going to continue degrading, and we can take that into consideration and keep some of our DC inputs available so that we can gradually add more energy generation to support our backup needs, support our time of use, offset with the energy storage that we're integrating. And so I've seen a couple and been a part of the design for some really innovative systems of that nature. And so I think that's something that's worthwhile bringing up. So it's you don't have to choose necessarily. You can utilize the best of both worlds and really get a lot out of these system upgrades.
100%. I'm really glad that you brought that up, actually, because you do get the advantage of adding to your system and increasing your production, as well as just being able to incorporate your existing into your new storage system. Yesterday, we were talking about the NEC Code and some changes, and I can't help but bring it up right now because it's very applicable. But for some of them that are changing in 2023, the ability to do supply side or line side connections are going to they're changing so that you are going to have a they're not going to let you do a line side connection.
I don't think it's that they're not going to let you. I think there's just going to be some more limitations and documentation required in order to get those sorts of connections approved. That was the feeling that I was getting from the presenters from the NEC when they were talking about these codes. We're just seeing a general trend of installers having a harder time getting these line side taps approved.
Getting them approved.
These line side, supply side, where you're connecting in before the main service panel. And not to say that those options still won't be viable, but doing a load side tap will very likely expedite the process of getting your energy storage system / solar systems approved and operating.
Right. And there's a very straightforward and easy way to get that done. Straightforward in the design. It could be a little bit tougher for the electrical side, but putting in a sub panel would allow you to do that much easier.
Right. Effectively, the concept is keeping your existing main panel in operation as strictly a main service entrance. So you would keep that main service breaker in there, whether it's a 200 amp or 100 amp or anything in between. And then you would take all of the loads in that panel and just transfer them to an adjacent new sub panel that has a similar rating, either at the same nameplate, taking your 200 amp, taking all the loads from your 200 amp panel and putting them on the 200 amp panel, or if you're having
That would be for a whole home backup.
yeah. So for a whole home backup, you can just take the main power that's coming from your existing main panel breaker, that 200 amp breaker. So on the load side of that, you can wrap that in to your automatic transfer switch or your microgrid interconnect. It's another word for the same thing, effectively.
Yep.
And then it can pass through your hybrid or battery inverter or your backup interface. Like there's all different sort of topologies based on the manufacturer, but effectively what connects your utility service to your renewable energy slash energy storage and connecting that to your loads. So effectively making it so that you can isolate your utility service in the instance of an outage from the rest of your system. So you can be generating and storing power and sending that to your home and your loads without having any sort of risk of sending power back into the utility service lines when people are doing maintenance and trying to get power back up for all of the other customers. So effectively you can route your loads just all onto their own subpanel, and you don't have to sacrifice the rating of that panel so that you can be sending power to 100% of your loads or any fraction of that. Like if maybe your inverter is not really sized appropriately to back up all of your loads, well, you can just treat it as a critical load panel too. And it's just and that's generally how partial home backups are done already. But it's not that much more challenging to do that for a whole home backup now either. It's just the labor of taking all those individual loads and moving them to another panel. But as long as you have room close by, it's something that most installers, most electricians could easily do within a day of labor. If they have to move them 50 yards, and maybe it's not the best solution for you, but
yeah, it would be ideal if they were all side by side.
But there's lots of cases where that's a totally relevant solution, and so it could be a way to just expedite the whole permitting process, and it also is a clean looking solution too. It's like, hey, just move the loads over, out my main service, into my backup panel, and then into my new main service panel.
I think we're going to see a lot more of that as more and more homeowners want to have a whole home backup solution. And they no longer just want their critical loads. They want to be able to, if they need to power anything on in their house, they want to have the ability to run it off their battery-based system.
Right.
And as we see more electrification within the U.S. and abroad, especially with the EVs that are going to be coming to market very soon, I think over 50,000 are supposed to hit California in 2023. Thereabouts.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
But it is a very worthwhile solution, and when we do the permitting and design, which is a service that we offer, we can help specify that. So when you are either getting your system permitted through the county and for your metering system, you have it clearly outlined, and also for when you are having an electrician come do that changeover for you, they have a clear scope of work and can give you an accurate price quote. So.
Right, and it's also nice, like, because we do work with a lot of contractors and installers directly. It's really easy for us if you are a homeowner, like a direct customer, then like we can have those conversations with your installers and like make sure that they're being considered in the way that they're equipped to do things or what their preferences are, so that it's just a smooth sailing throughout the process, as much as the jurisdiction allows it.
That's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up too. So yes, we can help connect you to either local or in your area. It just depends, if you're very rural and remote, that might be a little bit tougher. But for most areas, I'd say we could at least get you pointed in the right direction.
Right. Well, and I guess what I was more alluding to was the fact that if you have an installer or that you are working with, that we can have that conversation
That's very
and
true
make
too.
sure we're not imposing anything that they don't want to do, and we have enough alternatives to where we can come up with creative solutions to work within like where they are comfortable.
Solar and storage solutions.
Right.
Well, really, I think that's a great place to stop.
Yeah.
For AC coupling. Hopefully, you all found that helpful. And for any additional questions that may come up, definitely email us ESS for energy storage solutions at ecodirect.com. Or even sales at ecodirect.com would be a great way to get the conversation started.
Right.
Or just call us. I mean, that's
Yeah,
easy too.
that's
We do
easy.
answer the phone.
What a concept.
Yes, indeed. It's surprising that a lot of people, have mentioned that they have trouble doing that, but we're all active and we're ready.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you, Max. Truly a pleasure.
Oh yeah.
And appreciate the conversation.
Always great conversation with you, Renee. Yeah.
Thank you.